All right. I'm here with Abby, homeschool mom of two. I love there's always like this, what are we doing?
Right? We laugh about it because that's
Yeah. So I've been kicking all of these off with just how we met and how we know each other. And we met through I had planned a little service project for homeschool crew. Yeah. So we met making blankets for Children's Hospital.
that's true. I forgot that was the first time, and the pictures popped up in my photo memories just, like, a couple days ago, and I was like, "Oh, how fun."
I
They all
know.
a little too in comparison, right?
No. Yeah. So what are your kids' ages right now?
7 and 4.
Okay. And what was your life like before kids?
Oh gosh. Before kids, by trade, I'm a hairstylist. So I was doing hair and I was running a spa inside of a casino for a little while, living in the mountains, hiking and reading to my heart's content and doing God knows what with all that free time, right?
Yeah,
But
that is the truth.
Midwest and then came, to the mountains to live life and raise babies here,
Yeah,
right? No
I
better
love it.
way.
Yeah. Was homeschooling always on your radar, or what prompted that?
Right? I think that, always on my radar, yes, right? I don't think that I ever imagined that that was my path. I think that the bigger the, like, movement got, if you will, the more inspiring it was. I think growing up, homeschooling was this whole different idea and thing and people and yeah, it just seemed like this totally different thing. So I think seeing it as a parent and in this like new age of homeschooling felt kind of like, well, why couldn't we do it? And
Yeah.
then, we were in the public preschool system. So my oldest was in like half day preschool, 4 days a week at the public school for 2 years. And the first year was lovely. It couldn't have asked for better. And the second year left a lot to be desired as far as the teacher and the facility and what they were doing on a daily basis. And I think that that is really what got us kind of um, got the wheels turning about why couldn't we try this? If this is what we're getting already in preschool, that when they're cute and they're fun and they're easy and it should be fun for them. So when your kid's not loving it and you're not loving it and you're like, wait a minute, it is kind of an option to not do it that way, right? So
Yeah.
that, all it takes is a little bit of bravery
Yeah.
to kind of jump off that cliff. But I think that it was in the back of my head as like a what a cool thing to be able to do, but that's not my thing. I couldn't do that. But I also never thought I'd be a stay-at-home mom either. I always imagined that I would, have kids and love kids and love motherhood, but also definitely like not give up my career. Um,
Yeah.
so I think, yeah, motherhood, it changes you in many a ways, right?
Yeah. For sure. Were you and your husband both public school kids?
Yes. Yeah, 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 definitely. Full public school kids, very working parents. So I think it's a very like kind of foreign feeling world to both of us. But I think that both of us see the benefit of it and see um the beauty of it really and
Yeah.
like have your babies with you and do all the things with them and experience all the experiences and
Yeah.
yeah, it feels pretty good to us considering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you follow a certain philosophy, or where do you sort of find yourself between curriculum versus no curriculum?
Ooh, I battle with that. I think that like any public school kid, you worry not like drilling enough facts into them and they're not doing enough worksheets and times tables and
Yeah.
so I think that I struggle a little bit with that, but I think that in these younger years, it feels easier to kind of ride that line between like you're not unschooling, and you're not like full curriculum schooling either. I think that to me, it feels most important to have the structure in the like reading and math. The rest of it, we're a little looser with curriculum wise. We'll do unit studies and we do a lot of experiences and things like that. But like I said, I think at these ages, that's easy enough to do. The pressure builds, I think, the older they get.
For sure.
So you definitely feel like, oh, get all the curriculums and teach them all the things. And that's the way that you got to teach them. So I think it'll be interesting to see how that philosophy changes as they get older. But right now, I dabble in a little bit of both philosophies as far as the curriculum and being more structured and not. I think it's this ever changing thing,
Yeah.
always trying to like see what feels right and what's working right for them and what's working right in the system with all the kids. And it's an interesting ocean.
Yeah. What about like Charlotte Mason, Waldorf, Montessori? Like, what is
I
your perspective on the sort of, I want to hear it. What
so
is your perspective
I
on like the overarching sort of like, you can craft around this thing, right?
You really can, and I love them all. I personally am like the worst person at sticking to like things, right? I'm like, oh, I love it. Oh, I like that. Ooh, what about that too? So I think I
Yeah.
take what I like from each thing and keep that. But I'm never good at like really following to the letter any of it. I
That's,
that there's things that you find in each one of the philosophies that you're like, well, I don't know if that fits perfectly in the family dynamic or the philosophy behind your whys. But then there's 100 other pieces to it that you're like, but that I really could get behind.
yeah. No, I love that. I mean, I'm biased, but that's also like how I feel.
Do though, it's really easy to like when you get in like kind of deep with any one philosophy, it feels too almost like spendy for me. Like you have to
Mm,
get in, then you're like, gotta have the things that they do for that philosophy and you gotta have the books that they believe in. And so I do feel like it feels inundating to me personally to really subscribe to any specific philosophy. But yeah, there's beautiful, lovely parts about all of them that I wish sometimes that I was that kind of like really that's what we subscribe to and this is how we live our life. And I'm like, well, like, what about this?
yeah.
Next week that feels good. Last week
Yeah.
that felt good, right?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting how those philosophies get kind of watered down too. Like, I feel like there are so many people who are like, we are a Waldorf family, and it's because they have like wood toys and play silks, but like everything else they know nothing about, right?
For
Or
sure.
like, we practice Montessori and they have like, an IKEA sink that they've rigged to actually have water come out of the faucet. And like that,
Some holes.
that's it.
Pizza. Yeah.
So that I find really fascinating as well, just like how the philosophies have like infiltrated parenting,
Sure.
beyond homeschooling
Yes.
and what they are, what people think of them
Yeah.
versus like what they actually are, which actually is a good segue into the next thing, which is like, did you have expectations for what you thought homeschooling would be like or look like? And like, how do those expectations match up to what's actually happening?
Of course. Yes. You always like you imagined that like I actually live on a farm in English countryside. There's about 100 acres and there's chickens and things and we bake bread every morning, right? Just have like fresh baked bread, things like that. We collect our chicken eggs. But in reality, no, that is not how homeschooling looks for us. I think that yeah, it's easy to like look at the world of homeschooling and be like, wow, that's what it's going to be like. That's what I'm going to, what I want it to be like. And really, then you look at like the own confines of your life and, you're living in suburbia with a lovely house and a lovely yard and a lovely neighborhood. But that's not what your homeschooling is going to look like. You just don't have that.
Yeah.
And you start like kind of building, I think, your community, and that really, to me, impacted what homeschooling looked like for us. I thought that homeschooling was going to be at home, truly, like,
Yeah.
like just reading and doing and learning and cooking and baking and we are gone so much. Why are we always gone? We're always gone.
I know
Um,
why.
so many lovely groups. That's why, right? There's so
Yeah.
to be a part of and experiences to have. And then you got to get them into extracurriculars too, right? Because they need to, do all the things or you
Yeah.
think you're doing enough. So I
Yeah.
that yeah, in my head it was going to be this like quiet, slow, lovely homeschooling. And in the reality, we are going and doing so many fun things and building such great community with all of our, friends and groups. And um, in some respects, I wouldn't have it any other way. Other days, I'm
Yeah.
tired and I just don't want to go anywhere. But I think it
My
makes
middle is very concerned about like the planet. And so we'll be like driving somewhere and he'll be like, because we have one of our cars is an EV, the other one is not. And the one that is not is the one that all the children fit in. So that's the one that we drive, that I drive the most. My husband takes the
like,
other. So anyway, anytime we're driving anywhere, he's like, this isn't good. And I'm like, yeah. I was like, do you want to just like bike places? Because we could just bike and we'd be really limited.
yeah,
with
we could
what
just
we could
stay
do.
right here in the neighborhood.
But I think about that sometimes because I'm like, man, like, yeah, just in terms of community building, before
Yeah.
all of this, it was just like the people who were around you.
Yeah.
And it feels like now, like, for example, the people around me, 99% of them are public school kids, right? Makes sense. But just in terms of like forming those relationships and being able to see kids, like during the week, it does mean I know our group, like we have people within probably 45 minutes is like our span
For
of
sure.
driving. Um, and because we're homeschoolers and we feel like we're not doing enough, and there's like oh, we have to do this and this and this, it's like we end up driving so much just to be able to like build the community out.
Exactly. It makes it hard, but also, like I said, I don't I'm not sure some days that I would do it any other way either.
Right.
I think that it's a lot, but the relationships that are formed, and I just think having the dynamic of all of the different moms and kids and families, and even like those of the kids who like aren't very close, like they're all still this like little, yeah, like pack, and
Yeah.
it just like kind of seamlessly in our work, and it's super fun to see and experience. So I think
Yeah.
all the going worth it. And I think my latest thing is just trying to make sure that I'm taking advantage of the time in the car better.
Mm,
And we listen to a lot of music, which is like lovely, right? But also, podcasts are a real thing. We drove to the state park that was an hour away to see eagles, right? And I'm like, the whole way I made them listen to eagle things. Duh.
yeah.
And I've been doing this the whole time. I drive way too much.
Yeah.
the, podcasting and audio booking and so yeah, I think that's my bigger thing now is like take advantage of the time, Abby.
Yeah. That's so true. I love audiobooks and podcasts. Yeah, so many good ones. I'm a big fan.
Eruptions. So like I don't often it's just not something that I do with the kids. Like music is one thing to interrupt it and chat and keep going. For some reason my brain really struggles with the like if we're listening to something, I'm listening and I'm
Yeah.
trying to learn too, man.
Yeah. What are your favorite homeschool days? What do they look like?
That's tough. I think because we're so busy, my favorite days are the ones where we really get to just like stay home and we do some baking projects, and we actually get a chance to, sit down and do the curriculum without feeling like we're rushing through it.
Yeah.
Uh, and the kids get to play. And I think that those are the days that really feel like this is what it's about, having your babies close and them being able to form these bonds with each other that I don't think that is easy when they're away from each other all day.
Yeah.
And yeah, nothing feels rushed and nothing. I think those are, yeah, the favorite days for me when it feels
Yeah.
like real homeschooling.
Yeah.
I don't think
As
that,
opposed to all that fake stuff, right?
yeah. Touche.
What part of homeschooling stretches you the most? What's the challenge for you?
Mm. The staying on a good steady routine, because that's
Mm,
something that I struggle with in my own um life and situations like pre-kids. Even I
yeah.
good about something for a little while, but then it's very easy for me to get distracted, fall off, and be on to the next thing. So I think for me,
Yeah.
that's the biggest issue, is like just staying on a steady and making sure that, you're getting the things done in the right amount of time, and um, checking the boxes appropriately, right?
Yeah.
That looks like,
Yeah.
right? We struggle with that.
Sometimes I challenge myself too. I'm like, why do I feel the need for to be so like routine, Because I do think that kids like thrive in rhythm. I do really
Yeah.
believe in that. However, I'm also like, you know, I feel like I'm getting better at this, but when I would get like kicked off with like, oh, the holidays or oh, sickness, I used to
Hmm.
really like struggle with that. Like I'd be like, no, we gotta like get back on.
For
But then
sure.
I was like, no, that we all get like as adults, we all get kicked off our rhythm at the holidays. And that's like part of what the holidays is.
Exactly.
Um,
That's
so yeah, it's like riding that line between like the routine and the
yeah.
spaciousness.
Well, and I think that it's being like flexible in the rhythm. Like the rhythm can exist in this fluid area. And that's where I struggle.
Yeah.
I don't live well in that fluid area, I think. So I think that that's the tricky part, right? Is like you can keep your rhythm and alter it and be flexible with it. And I'm like, no, no, you can't though. That's not how it works. So I think that yes, there is this need to have it look like something, but not being so rigid about it. Because with like the public school mindset, with the working mindset, there is this like, um, yeah, like there's a black and white. There's this is how we do it, and I think that since that is where my brain lived for so long, it's hard to remove yourself from that and be like, actually, it is okay for it to look like this right now. And then for it to look like something else when your wheels get back on track or whatever, right?
Yeah.
That it's not this big detrimental loss to the system or the progress or whatever.
Yeah. Do you feel like that is how homeschooling has sort of changed you? Like, do you feel like just that thought process, or are there other ways in which you feel like homeschooling your kids has like made you think about things in a different way?
Kind of everything, really. You know what I mean? I think that you have this pre-kid idea as well of like what life looks like, what school looks like, what parenting looks like. So I think that like that first shift obviously is becoming parents and seeing that change. But I think over the course of your parenting journey too, it changes so much. So I think that is kind of where my issue lies, right? And keeping the why, if you will. I think that sometimes I just lose sight of that and get and just get trapped in that kind of, yeah, in that public school mindset, like a cog in the wheel type of thing. So
Yeah.
like breaking that cycle, almost like, it sounds so cliche, the cycle breaking, but really.
No. Yeah. I mean, it's like the unlearning piece, like what you
Mhm.
have to unlearn in order to homeschool. And I feel like so much of that is unlearning your own conditioning about what school looks like and what learning is, what education is. And also just on kind of like a way zoomed out perspective, yeah, that like um rigidity versus the fluidity and the spaciousness. Cause I feel like a lot of us are drawn to homeschool for the flexibility of it. But then like very quickly there are times where it's like, where's the flexibility? Like I've lost the
Yeah,
flexibility.
definitely.
Yeah.
It does like that for sure. And I think that some of that just is the conditioning of it needs to like be like this, like the out of the box feels like chaos to yeah, like a body and a brain that has been within those confines for it's yeah, the entirety really, right?
Yeah. Well, and something that I'm hearing from a lot of the moms that I've been talking to, and something I feel in myself too, is like the need for both. Like it can feel like very either or, like, oh, I either need to follow a curriculum or I don't, or I either need to like have a really set routine or there's no routine. And it's like finding that gray area. That
Oh,
I think that's where a lot of us are trying to find, like trying to be okay in that sort of
yes.
like in
Of
between
like towing
space.
that line for
Yeah.
and finding yeah like what that looks like because I think like we've said I think that you find what is important to you for your kids right whether it's the reading and the math or the cultural studies or the arts or you know whatever I think everybody has that thing that like that's why I wanted to do it at home or that's what I think that we really need to be able to focus on um and I think that it's fun to talk to other homeschool moms and see where everybody lives on that spectrum of like what I find important and what I really like pour myself into um and it's fun to be able to dabble in all of it too, right? Like a unit
Yeah.
here and a unit study there and if that seems like a cool project to add into the mix or a cool field trip to add in then we do it. And that's
Yeah.
cool. Like what a neat childhood.
Yeah. And also finding the balance between like what you find important versus like what your kids tell you is important to them, you know?
Sure.
And watching kind of the difference in how things land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and really able to lean into their interests as well. Like you can learn all of the things, but building it around stuff that they love. Help
Yeah.
that, you know, where it's not possible in the public school system. So
Yeah.
fun for them.
Certainly not in the same way.
No, yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
if you get lucky, right? But
Yeah. Yeah. And part of it, I think, is time,
oh, for sure. When you
you
think
know? Like,
it's a system that has to exist and that some people really need. So for that, like, aren't we all grateful that every kid gets to, you know, go be in a safe place and get any form of education and be fed a warm meal and lovely. But I think that yeah, when it's not the necessity, when you can build the situation a different way, it feels. I think it almost felt negligent not to try.
hmm, yeah.
Like here I am a stay-at-home mom already and like there's all of these amazing things about it keeping them close and tailoring their education and working with their needs and wants and why wouldn't I try it if I can right here I
Yeah.
it's no loss at this time right I'm
Yeah.
already not making the income so
Yeah.
we might as well just roll with that for a
Unpaid
while
work.
longer.
Unpaid work.
Right.
When things feel hard and you feel like exhausted and burnt out, like I know you do, let's not pretend.
I'll do.
What are some like practices that you have, or like how do you find grounding amidst the chaos?
Don't ask questions there are no answers to. I'm a
I'm not asking for like your I do this 7 days a week.
notoriously
Abby.
I'm notoriously absolutely horrible at self-care. Pre-kids, post-kids, just bad about it. So lately I have been trying to focus a little bit more because like you said, we're all getting burnt out here. So moms, you know, patience is getting slimmer and slimmer. So I've just been trying to like a couple times a week get in the bathtub with your book and just like be. It
Yeah.
doesn't. I think that in my head sometimes it needs to be more. You know what I mean? Like if I'm gonna
Yeah.
have time to do it, it has to be something because I have
Yeah.
a million other things that I should be doing right now, right? So I'm trying to just like lean into the fact that like anything is better than nothing. So
Yeah.
just take the 45 minutes and
Yes.
do it already. I'm trying to get better about it, I think. I think that's the real answer because that's all I've got for you. I don't nothing else exists.
Yeah. But when you're in like the heat of the moment, like, you're maybe trying to do a lesson and the kid does not want to do the lesson and you're like gonna throw something out the window, like what do you do instead of throwing something out the window?
Yeah.
Or do you throw something out the window and then like apologize and repair?
We have the conversation that the elementary school is right down the road and they're lovely and they're very welcoming. If you would rather learn in that environment, this is an option, but you have to learn something somewhere from someone. So, and then after we bring ourselves back in and I definitely am a proponent of like, mom needs a second. Mom
Yeah.
step away. I need to go and just like lay on the bed for a moment and take some deep breaths and recollect myself so that I don't lose it, right? I think
Yeah.
that's my go-to is to
Yeah.
step away. But yes, definitely lots of apologizing happens. I think it's
Yep.
the constant struggle, right? We're all in our different journeys of healing and becoming the best versions of ourselves and the best moms. And so the ebb and flow of I'm doing great and I've got this, and the St. John's wort is working fabulous today. And then there's the other days where, I yelled before breakfast was even on the table and had to apologize already. So glad we're starting the day off that way.
Well, I think it's important to normalize it because I've talked to several moms who, like, we all have those moments, either in parenting or homeschooling. Like, I do think homeschooling definitely magnifies and, like, exaggerates those moments because you're just with your kids all the time.
Yeah,
And you feel the weight and responsibility of their education. So then you're putting pressure on yourself to, like, deliver this thing, right?
steroids.
Yeah, well, and the thing that I hear moms say, and like I have felt myself, is like it's in those moments when you're losing your shit where you have the most doubt about what you're doing. And
Oh,
you're like, oh, and you literally start to paint a picture of like, well, if my kid's at school, I'm not yelling at them, or we're
right.
not having this like disagreement.
Yeah.
And so that's better for them, right?
Yes.
Like
Oh, yeah,
that is where your head goes.
for
But
sure.
then the flip side of that is like the amount of relationship work and like real life repair and conflict resolution and like all
Yeah.
these things that happens not only with you but like with siblings
Yeah.
and with kids in the homeschool community, like
Yeah.
I feel like there is so much relationship work being addressed that wouldn't get addressed necessarily in that other situation, or maybe would, but in a different way. And it wouldn't be with you or with
Yeah.
your sibling. It would be with,
For
other
sure.
people, which is also important, obviously.
Yeah.
But there's something to like home being the sort of like training ground for that stuff
Yeah.
that I think is really powerful.
Oh, for sure. Like you're
Yeah.
teaching them so much more than just uh, reading and arithmetics, right? Like you're able to teach them all of it. Yeah, the space to learn the emotional regulation, even if we're all learning it at the same time, I think is yeah, that's like such a huge thing to be able to do. And like you said, the conflict resolution and being able to learn that in a safe space. And I think that especially nowadays, I think that we're so we're eyes open to neurodivergence, right? So I think that it's something that starts to feel even more important is being able to like let these kids be who they are in this safe space and learn how to be a part of society slowly and intentionally, if you will.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like, for lack of better terms, I guess, like be a part of society. Do we
No, yeah.
necessarily?
I I will say too, I want to clarify that like I I know that homeschooling is like not always a safe space for,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like in
Oh,
the
yeah.
same way that school is not always a safe space for people, like homeschooling can veer off into super unfortunate
Oh,
territory as well.
I think that that's where that mindset, though, that you were just talking about comes. Like, if I'm yelling and this is the environment, like, is this even the safe space, right?
Right.
Right. They really can get into that, like, very un.
There's for sure a less safe space. Yeah. And so I think sometimes like I feel the need to like defend homeschoolers because that's not like people think of homeschooling sometimes and they think of like the abuse, right? Or like all these other things. And it's like, that's
Any
not
extreme.
homeschooling's fault.
Exactly.
Um, but yeah, I had another thought, and of course now I'm like I'm thinking about that and like, at the same time. I'm wondering if it'll come back to me.
That's happened to me a couple times so far. So just edit it out.
It was something about the trialing and like being able to do that at
Oh,
home.
yeah. Like, producing into society in this like intentional and slow and gentle manner, and being able to work on all of those social and emotional skills that you really don't get a chance to work on in the same manner in school, I think. It's
Yeah.
just like the issue of like strictly same age interaction, right? But
Yeah.
also have this whole like unsupervised, like a teacher can't possibly deal with all of these problems. Criminy, I'm one person with two kids and I barely have the time to deal with all these problems.
Yeah. But also the piece of like socialization. And I know like all the homeschool moms are
Oh,
like, yeah, but what does that mean? Like socialization with like kids who were born in the same year as you,
right.
or socialization with like literally
Dog.
like infants all the way through
Yeah,
elderly, you know?
yeah. These kids are chatting to the moms half the time just as much as they're chatting with the other kids. So
Yep.
I think that it's, like they get the experience of being around the littlest of the siblings, and, the grandmas who are coming along because they're in town, and everybody in between. So
Yeah.
that, yeah, there's this really important socializing aspect that no one believes exists in homeschooling.
You know, it's like the unicorn of homeschool.
Exactly. Or like in reality, socializing is literally the last problem that we have.
Yeah.
They get all the socializing, okay? Did we get any time to learn how to read? Maybe not. You should be asking us about that, not. Oh,
Oh my God. I'm crying, laughing so hard. Um, if you could speak to yourself at the beginning of your journey, I mean, I feel like we're still like rookies, right?
it's
Like we are at the beginning.
very right.
Um, oh, maybe an interesting. I'll flip this one then, since we, yeah, I'll just flip it. Why not? Um, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Oh, I think that in my ideal world, we're still like successfully homeschooling, and they're at these ages, right, where the possibilities are kind of endless. I think that there's this difficulty in these younger years. Like, it's easier, right, because like the material is easier, and everything takes a little less time, and playing is such a huge part of learning. And whereas you're hands on, though. Like when it's time for curriculum work, like you're in it with them.
Yeah, yeah,
I think that there's this um hopefully beauty of when they're older and they can handle a little bit more of like, I get you set up and we learn the lesson and then you can roll with it on your own. And
yeah,
that hopefully that leaves a little bit more time for a different kind of exploring and field tripping and things like that. Um,
yeah.
because surely you're, not still going to be taking them to the same exact places at 7 that you are at 15, hopefully, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we can like introduce travel a little bit more in the homeschool situation. But yeah, I think that ideally we're still doing it. I think that people sometimes think of like, okay, we get them through elementary school, and then surely we got to get them back to school, right? Or
Yeah.
through middle school, and we got to get them back in. And I think to me, I'm like, those are the years that I feel I shouldn't say that. I think they're also important to be home and
Yeah.
and safe and protected. And like, yeah, I might be a little crazy and I might raise my voice, one too many times in a week, in a day, whatever. But I still think like the dynamic of public schools and social interactions and kids with each other, like it's just such a,
Brought.
yeah, I just think it's this like pressure cooker, you know what I mean? And I think
Yeah.
so unhealthy for like our building of self-worth and
Mm.
all of that kind of stuff. So I think that like I look at those older ages and I'm like, "Oh gosh, like how lovely to not be in the public school setting while you're going through all of these like major changes hormonally and physically and socially." Like,
Yeah.
and I think that I want to keep them even closer maybe then.
Yeah.
So I hope that we're still doing it and successful and that they still like it. And I think as long as they're still into it and it's still working for us, then hopefully we're doing it 10 years later, Eva.
I'd be curious to know, like, for parents who do end up, sending their kids in middle or high school, like, what the reasoning is, like, whether it is, because I imagine for some parents, it is the fear of, like, now the material's getting harder and, like, I don't know what I'm doing. And,
Totally.
or, like, pushes from the kids of, like,
Yeah.
okay, I've never done this. I
Want.
mean, some kids come right in and out, they might have started in elementary school and then parents pulled them to
Yeah.
homeschool, whatever. But I feel like for most of our group, it's like, we've been pretty much doing it. And we're all still, my oldest is 8, so
We're still
we're still in the early years.
up, but
But I'd be curious too, like how many are like pushes from the kids or like what all the reasons are, because I agree. And I think that, um, you know, I would hope for parents who do feel like, oh, I can't possibly teach high school math or whatever, that although I will hold on, I know I didn't finish that thought, but what I was going to say is like the idea of kind of growing with your kids.
yeah,
This is something that my friend Julie, I just remember, when my oldest turned like 7, I felt like a really big shift, right?
it's
Just
a
like,
big shift.
whoa, world expanding, all this stuff. And I was like, whew, okay, here we go. And she was talking to me about like how, because I said to her, I can't imagine, her kids are 13 and almost 10.
Oh,
And I was like, I just like can't even like picture it. Like I can't even picture what life will look like at that point. And she was like, you can't really, but you just like grow with them. And I feel like that idea of like, yeah, it's the same premise of like you're never really ready to have a kid, right? And
yeah,
then you do, and then you just kind of continue to learn things along the way. Like I think the same thing is true with homeschooling too. It's like, yeah, I can't picture teaching the math that I
yes,
struggled with in high school to my kids because I struggled with it then, probably
yeah.
going to struggle with it again. But also, I'm relearning, so and like learning in a new way and discovering all these things.
And like what a cool thing that is too, right? To be able to
Yeah,
like, learn all of these things with them with this new perspective of the whole situation and the whole
yeah,
for it. But I also think that like the year is 2026 and like you have so much available to you.
yeah,
Don't have to be the sole educator to your child either. You know,
yeah,
they get older, like there are plenty of online resources and even in-person resources for the areas that you don't feel like you're the strongest in or capable of. And
yeah,
all like I think in an ideal world, like hopefully dads are getting into the mix too, because I'm like, math, get on, come help, right?
yeah.
So
No,
the
it's such an
pressure
important
all.
Yeah, and I feel like sometimes, like, for people who, sometimes I liken homeschooling to, like, people who are vegetarian, right? And it's like the minute you say you're a vegetarian, suddenly the other person starts defending, like, why they eat meat, you know?
Yeah.
It's like you can say that you're homeschooling to someone, and there is some sort of, like, whatever it is, there's like a, "Oh, well, this is what I'm doing and why I think it's,
Totally.
why
Yes.
I think it's best for me." And I'm like, "Cool, cool. I was never judging you to begin with. Like, I love public school, right?"
That whole
But,
is,
but
yeah, like instant. It's a visceral reaction for people that they must like, uh,
yeah.
uh, and this is why.
Yeah. This is why, which like totally valid. And I'm sure,
100%
part
is
of like a selfish reason why I love that we're having these conversations and why I'm like part of why I'm doing this is it's like, oh yeah, like it reminds me that I'm not alone on the journey either, right?
I think that's
But what I was gonna say is like sometimes something that comes up when people have that like this is what I'm doing is they're like, oh, I could just never be
yes.
like it's important for for me for my kid to have like teachers and like people who are not just me teaching them. And I'm like, yeah, my kids have teachers too. Like I'm not the only person teaching them.
Exactly.
And
Definitely.
it certainly is like, you know, region dependent. Like I do feel like where we are, there's so many homeschool
Oh,
classes and
exactly. Yeah.
stuff. So I'm
They
like, yeah,
give
I can't really imagine
options
homeschooling.
for us, right? They give us so many options. I think
Yeah.
when you imagine homeschooling in other regions,
Right.
yeah, it is kind of like, oh, that doesn't look anywhere near the same.
Yeah.
I think that, yeah, it's very dependent on where you are too and the
Yeah.
regulations, the offerings, because I feel like outside of just what the publicly funded programs are, there's so many other, you know, private pay homeschool opportunities that like you could fill your schedule 100% with opportunities for homeschoolers alone. So
Yeah.
how that you can it can look however you want it to in a place like
Yeah.
this, right?
And there is a lot of online stuff too, like Outschool, is a pretty cool website. We used them a while back for something. Um, and yeah, it's just like
A lot of
people,
yeah, like there's the Khan Academy. I know a few of them have been kind of dabbling in that. And I think, yeah, that those options I think are only going to grow as well. So I think that it's unfair for anyone to think that it has to fall completely on them. And hopefully, if that is a reason that you feel the need to send them back into the public school system at a certain age, that, you know, somewhere out there tells you that you can get help, right? You can have other people assist you in the areas where you're a little weak.
yeah. And also, like, maybe that is the best choice for your kids and it
Yeah.
ends up being
Oh,
totally great, you know? Um, yeah. So,
too, the education system, and again, maybe that's just like us being, lucky to be where we're at, but I think that school, even sending your kid to full-time school nowadays doesn't have to look like your traditional public school either, right? Like we have Montessori options and we have outdoor options and we have, so I think that also there's that like if you need a full-time situation, at least there's options where that's in too, right? Like
yeah.
look like sitting in a desk for 8 hours a day, drilling textbooks.
Yeah.
If it gets there.
Yeah. Well, that was the last of my questions. Do you feel like there's anything else that you didn't say or things that are like on your mind with homeschooling that you want to talk about?
So I feel
Yeah.
like we covered this
We
broad
did good.
pretty well.
Well, thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you. This is fun. I can't wait to see all of the rest of the interviews too. It'll be fun, definitely. So
Yeah.
for taking your time, Eva. Always love.
Course. I know. Well, and I've said this to other people. I'm like, this is the most one-on-one time I've had with you. I'm like, I need to keep scheduling these.
Yeah, evidently. You're like, it's an ongoing series.
Yeah.
We're
Uh,
checking in on a monthly basis. What
I
mental
love it.
decline.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Well, I'll see you
Yes,
this
soon.
week, I think. Yeah.
I think so.
Bye.